right? There was no RREF at the very, very, very beginning. I think it didn't even show up until like the 40s. Is that when it showed up? Maybe a little bit earlier. Oh, in the 30s. Okay, number 8, reduced row echelon form. Or you could have put RREF. Number 12, you guys get 3 by 4. You didn't put the wrong way. 3 by 4, not the other way. Number 20, all you had to do was write it as a matrix. Go team. We like those. Number 46, why was it yes for REF, for row echelon form, but no for reduced row echelon form? Yeah. There are ones in each of the columns where they're supposed to be, and as soon as or as long as the 1 gets established for our REF, we had to get everything else to be zeros. For REF, as long as we have the 1s, who cares what's up? All we care about is zeros down. REF is just here and below. Our REF needs the 1s, and then if the 1s are there, zeros below and above. So REF, check. Our REF, nope. It was not done. Now this one gets weird. If you'd used your graphing calculator for 52, what happened? What went wrong? Can I say that? What went wrong? As soon as we see a bottom row that gets 0, what should that make us be thinking like if we were solving? Yeah, let z equals a. And number 52, can you guys check the problem? Did they give you the matrix or did they give you a system that you made into a matrix? Okay. Okay. Because if they gave you a system, I was curious whether they had x's, y's, and the numbers, or whether it was x's, y's, and z's. Because as I see it right now, there's not that 4th column. So as I'm looking at it, I'm assuming it's x plus y, well, 1x plus 3y is 2, 5x plus 15y is 9, etc. And if that's the case, we wouldn't let z equal a. Does anybody know why? If there were only x's, y's, and then numbers. You guys know what I mean? Like the example from yesterday where there were 3 equations? Where there were 3 equations and x's and y's? Yeah, first of all, there are no z's. So there'd be no reason to let z equal a. If anybody should equal a, it would be y, if there were only x's and y's. But does anybody see a dilemma if this was supposed to be an equation? 0 equals 1, that would be a no solution. So it depends on what the system is, whether it was like an actual x's and y's. Okay. Okay. My TA last period actually has wood shop, so he already cut it. But I don't know about the, oh, you don't have the markers. If you want to play with it. Thanks, kid. Bum, 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 bum. Sorry, I had this move on in my head. BC was working, so we were playing Disney. My question to you, my secondary question is the following. Is this in RREF form? Sadly, the answer is yes. It's okay. It's weird. That's why I'm pausing. Because you guys just went out. You're like, yeah, no, that's not RREF. And you're totally right. That 1 makes it not RREF. But I was very careful in how I explained it. That would explain why this actually is in RREF. Did anybody catch it? You want me to? I said RREF says or states that as long as the 1 is able to be established, there must be zeros finishing the row, the column. Hopefully I said column. Anyway, one more time. As long as the 1s get established, then there need to be zeros in the other entries of the column. How does that describe why this actually is in RREF form? This 1 is established. What else is in his column? Zeros. Is that 1 established? Is that 1 established? Well, if those 2 1s aren't established, I don't care who else is there. Oh, right? Like you wouldn't have known that just from what we did in class. Because in class, didn't we just be like, oh, get to the identity, get to the identity, get to the identity, which is good. But sometimes you can't get to the identity. So how do you know whether it's in reduced row echelon form or not? If there's a 1 established where it's supposed to be, are there zeros finishing the column? Yeah. What about, I don't care, the 1's not established, aka that 1 couldn't have been gotten, and that 1 couldn't have been gotten in a way that these zeros would have stayed. So we're done. Which is why the calculator for RREF got you there. Does that kind of make sense? But would the calculator ever have gotten you this for RREF? No. 1's established, zeros. 1's established, zeros. 1's established, that should be a 0. The calculator would have never stopped there unless you were asking for REF. Then it might have. Kind of makes sense? Okay. My people hiding phones, go ahead and get them away. There's a big old faculty meeting about the importance of you guys not being on your phones, and I just saw more than 2. So let's go ahead and fix that problem. Number 58. Number 58. Guys, this was a simple back substitute if you realized what you had, right? I mean, could you have done like an RREF thing and been like, hey, 1, 1, 0, make him a 0. Yeah, -5, this guy plus that guy. Okay. -5 times -1, +5 plus 0. Done. You could have. We could have just back substituted. Number 78. Ooh, why are there A's? Where's the Z? Why are there A's and where's the Z? First, why are there A's? Good. The row just cancels. Like you try to get your, and then everything's just gone. You're like, okay, well, go team. Okay, so if everything goes, we know to let Z equal, why not Z? It's not even there. So if we're not letting Z equal A, well then fine. Who are we hoping to get in that second row? We were hoping to get a 1 in the Y spot. Okay, fine. I wanted the 1Y, so therefore, oh well, let Y equal A. So it's applying the Z equal A principle, but this is not an XYZ system, so instead of letting Z equal A, let Y equal A. And then go ahead and do a little back substituting with x minus 3y is 5. Plug it in, x equals 3a plus 5. Okay. I'm a little nervous, but I'm ready. You had one more even in homework, right? Okay. If you talk to any friends in period 2, you can ask how their grading 102 went today. Wasn't so good. But we learned about life, hopefully. Talked about life. 102. My question is, guys, what was going on in this problem? Okay, that's a good start. But you could just look at blank paper and have been like, oh, it was a word problem, I skipped it. Okay, give me more. What was this problem about? Interest, true. What else was it about? Money, good. What else was it about? A matrix could have been used. What else was it about? So I have $2 million right now. What's the money you get? You get $2 million? After interest. So this is money I'm making or money I'm spending? Okay, I'm not going to go all ham on you quite yet. Hold on. Another question. No one could actually give me the context of the problem. Struggle. But you're right, it does have to do with money. Question. Where did the x minus 2z equals 0 come from? You guys are saved. So close. Okay. So the amount in the first loan or the first... Ooh, did I just say loan? It's a loan. You're not getting money. Well, okay. You are getting money, but you're paying for it. You're not making interest in like a savings account. Rachel said the amount in account 1 is twice the amount in account 3. Or the amount that you lent out in loan 1 is twice the amount that you're getting out for loan 3. Okay, what point do you think I'm trying to prove by the questions that I asked? Did you write the directions or the problem? Now, some of you guys are like, okay. But why wasn't one of the words zoo borrowing? No one knew that a zoo was borrowing $2 million. And you were all supposed to have done this last night. 2 nights ago, my amazing ones are like, oh, it was just so long ago because I was on top of things. Okay, well, good job. But still, why didn't you say zoo problem? Something, it's a zoo. All right, there's a zoo. They're borrowing $2 million. Second thing, if your problem was completely blank, I've technically told TAs to not give you credit on it, and maybe they've been really nice to you so far. If you have number 102 and only colored pen and nothing in pencil, what does that tell me? You didn't even write down the directions or the problem, so you didn't even try. Okay, so life lesson. If something's hard, just give up. That's how a lot of people act, and I agree with you, Zach. That's how a lot of people act, and that's what we naturally want to say. Do you know why I went off a little bit on life lessons of period 2 today? Okay. Not one person could tell me where this clue came from, because not one person had written down the clue itself or even had an idea of where the clue came from. I didn't even get on them because they didn't know it was a zoo. I figured out it was a zoo later, and then I got on them about that too. Okay, question. I'm just going to give you a little quick snippet, so if someone was gone from period 2, they get a little bit of the lecture maybe they should have gotten. Why do I have you write directions and problems? One reason. Any idea? Maybe. If you can summarize something, have you ever heard this in any other class where you have to do outlines or where you have to do brainstorms or where you have to do like summaries of things in English? Have you ever heard if you can summarize it, you probably at least kind of understand it? Or like in English for vocab, if you can use it in a sentence, hopefully you at least kind of, besides onomatopoeia is a word. I mean, that doesn't tell you anything. But if you can actually use it in a sentence as far as something to do with its meaning or how to apply it, you probably understand it better. So maybe my having you summarize it is trying to see if you can at least try to understand. That's maybe part of it. What else? Maybe easier to grade, because I can at least tell if you tried something. And you can be like, well, you read it. You kind of tried to narrow it down. Wait, narrow it down. What am I talking about? Word problems. Who gets overwhelmed when they see a word problem, especially a long one? Okay, I know this. Some brains, and I was talking with someone for a long time the other day, whose brain works very differently than most of you. And she definitely will probably never, ever in her life get to this level because of that. Her brain only sees big picture. It's very hard to zoom in on the small details. So when she sees a math problem with lots of different steps, her brain just kind of like goes into this freeze zone of, because she can't see exactly every step to take right away. That's what some of you do with word problems. You see it and you freeze, and you're like, I don't know exactly what to do, and you give up. Now, it doesn't mean that you couldn't have done something. Some of you, like some of this is work ethic, but some of this is, okay, pause. What am I trying to teach you to do? Take something that seems insurmountable, that seems impossible, that seems just super complicated and over your head. And what are you supposed to do with it? Read it and narrow down what's important, right? And pull out the important details. How many important details were there in this problem? 4. It's a zoo trying to get money. And the characteristics. They needed $2 million total. That's the first equation. They had to take out 3 different loans because no one loan company would loan them all the money. P.S. This is kind of normal in life for people trying to get big loans. It's very rare one person will go out on a limb for them for that entire amount. Question. Do you think if they could, they would have loaned all or borrowed all the money at 8%? Why would they have rather have loaned all the money out at 8% and not gone with the 9% or the 12%? You have to pay more money back for the 9% and 12%. If they could, they would have gone for the 8%, but maybe they couldn't. Or maybe there are things like variable rates with the 9 and 12, so there's hope that maybe we'll get it down in a little bit. So I don't know all the different possible variables that could have been involved. Anyway, never mind. The different things that could have been involved that could have affected it. But anyway, they took out 3 different loans, totaling up to the $2 million. They had the 8%, 9%, 12%. I could tell it just by looking at the equations. You guys equations, you had to try to make them. In 7.3, we did a problem very similar where we had, this time I think it was us, like savings accounts or something. But still, there was a total amount of money. And then there was a total interest that was being made on the account. This one, you're having to pay that amount. Talk to some of your parents about when they bought their first house and how those mortgage payments went with how much they were actually paying on the loan versus how much was just interest that they were paying just to have the loan. It's a struggle. Take personal finance. Anyway, coming back. Never pay the minimum payment on your credit card bill. Never. Never, never, never. Or they're just going to be like, your money, and taking it all. Anyway, coming back. Debt. It's a killer. Actually, literally, that's possibly true. Coming back. That's sad. The final characteristic was the one that I asked that finally Rachel came through with, how this amount in this loan was double the amount in that loan. Doesn't that make sense that they would have twice as much in the low interest versus the high interest? I mean, that makes sense that they'd want as much as they could in there. After that, yes, it was a matrix problem. Yes, you were supposed to do RREF. Yes, you were supposed to solve. However, if I don't see effort on your part, why should I even go over it? Some of you had a little bit of effort. You saved the rest of your class. Because if you didn't have a little bit of effort, I would have closed the screen almost as quickly as I brought it up. Oh, there you go. Go team. Okay. Mission. Almost done. So, kiddos, there are more steps to this. I mean, this was all RREF, right? This is all RREF. Oh, they just got to REF? What? And they stopped? Oh, all right. Well, they just got to REF and did back substitution because they got lazy. I'm not sure if it's really lazy. I probably would have just kept going to the identity, but at the end of the day, 1.2 million at the 8%, 200,000 at the 9%, and 600,000 at the 12%. You might be like, well, why wasn't this one higher than that one? Some loans give you a max, and so that might have just been, okay, we'll put as much money as we can in that one. Oh, well, the rest of it we'll have to put in that one. P.S. College loans. Is there going to be someone who's going to be like, I'll pay it all for you? Possibly. And if that someone comes along and says, I'll pay it all for you, what should you probably be checking? The interest, when you have to start paying, and whether or not the interest accrues if you're not paying. Anyway, life lessons. Long story short, are there things in life that are going to seem insurmountable? What do I mean by that word? Impossible. Bigger than me. Harder than for me to, like, I should just give up and not even try. Yes. All the time. All the time. Life lesson, exactly. But what do I want you to hopefully be able to do if those things come? Maybe cry a little bit. Maybe like pour out on a friend a little bit. Maybe just kind of like, I don't know, stress eat a little bit. But eventually, what do you have to do? All right. Little by little, step by step, what can I do? Okay. P.S. Has anybody taken Mrs. Leon? Big nasties, big mamas? You just got to get into them. One problem at a time, right? Anybody with A-push DBQs? You just got to carefully read and get going on it little bit by little bit. English essay, I mean, fill in whatever you don't like to do. Some of you it's this and some of you it's other stuff. Little bit by little bit. We're going to get into our notes and go to section 8.2, but any quick questions? I saw a hand here or there. Caitlin. 79? Okay. You guys are lucky. I actually am asking if you have questions. I totally gave up on period 2. Not literally giving up, but we just had a much longer life lesson. Okay, so the rest of you guys, why don't you go ahead and start? Oh, we already started writing. Never mind. Keep writing if you don't have this question. If you do have this question, keep writing. If you don't have this question, if you do, we're looking at section 8.1, number 79. Were there any other questions that you guys?
Yes, we should line.
No? Ah. Okay, fine. We'll do 2. Doop, 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 doop. But no lines need to be skipped on this one. The math is super easy until the very end of section 8.2. Don't worry, remember I said RREF is probably the hardest math you have to do the entire chapter. 79. Non-square system. This is the only new page you guys are doing right now, right? Okay. So let me go ahead and do this. Don't write this down, because this is me just doing number 79, okay? Ooh, this one says Gauss-Jordan elimination, huh? All right. Caitlin, to be honest, if you were doing it in your calculator, you would want to put in that 0 row. But if you're doing it by hand, we can be like, we'll go as far as we can. And there's not really a purpose to doing all the operations to the last row. Because eventually you have to do let Z equal A. Does that make sense? I'll just finish it off, but I think we're good to go now. Oh, that's nice. Y equals 2. Don't even have to worry about Z. Then Z equals A. I think. Does that look right? So yeah, you could have, I just put in the 0 row in the calculator because with the programming, it needs to go ahead and see that one fewer row than column symmetry for the RREF. But for by hand, it was kind of like you knew it was going to be Z equal A the whole time. Unless it turned out to be illegal or something, but otherwise. Is anybody else looking at 79? Do I need to keep it up? We're okay? Okay. Section 8.2. Guys, the nice thing is the math is going to be so nice and so easy until the end, and then we just have to get the pattern down as to how to do the end. As you guys are looking at the beginning of notes, my question to you is, filling in the blanks, what's going to go where? Nice. First row, first column. First row, first column, too. How about this guy? First row, second column. How about this guy? Second row first. Oh, you could just match it, huh? All right, -3, and then 0. Good team. Do you remember the notation of A sub, the row, and then the column? A with the subscript of the row number, and then the column number. Rows go before columns. Hey, that works for order, right? 3 by 4. Rows go before columns, going across and then going down. That's going to be helpful for that hard thing at the end. Rows go before columns. Okay, as you guys were looking at this one, we're supposed to find X and we're supposed to find Y, right? Who solved for X? They just waited on me? It's not totally bad, but still. Don't you see an X somewhere? Oh, where's the X? 2 places. One right there and one right there. What do you see in between? An equals. Okay, fine. So what's 2x plus 1 have to equal? What's 3x have to equal? I hope they're the same thing, or else maybe it's impossible. So x is equal to, hold on to it, Zach, but I know what you're going to say. X is going to equal, it seems like, 2. But you're wrong. Because this is an impossible problem. Why, Zach? 16 and 14 don't match. It's impossible. They can't be equal. If this is 4 and this is 4, that's 16. That should have been 16. You can't just randomly change a number and say it's the same, right? Okay, I think it was a typo a few years back. But it's a typo with a really good illustration. Because could we have solved it if that was 14? Nope, the answer would be none, impossible. So let's say it's a typo, and it should have been 16. Now it's possible. Okay. Now that it's possible, what's x equal? X equals 2, because whether you do 3x equals 6, matching up those two entries, which gets you to x equals 2, or whether you do 2x plus 1, yeah, my hand went faster than my brain or something. 2x plus 1 equals 5. You would subtract the 1, 4, divide by 2, 2. Okay. Whichever way you go, x equals 2. Are we okay? Yeah, it's the same thing. So x does equal 2, but what else were you supposed to solve for? Okay, so where's y? Good. 3y minus 5 is supposed to equal 4. Any of you guys mental mathed it yet? Good. Add the 5, you get 9. 9 over 3 is 3. But does it make sense why we would have had to say impossible if that had been a different number? Matrices can only be equal as long as every single entry is the same. Does that make sense? Okay. So what about this page that you guys already hopefully wrote down? You have written, you wrote down. It's definitely going to use some really bad grammar there for a second. Matrix addition. And wait a minute, isn't subtraction really just addition too? Ooh. Why is subtraction addition? You're adding the, yes, there's a better way of saying it, but yeah, you're adding the negative or you're adding the opposite, yeah. Adding the opposite. Subtraction is really just adding the opposite, which you're right, you would put a negative and then distribute. Okay, so for addition, and technically you can put, if you want, and subtraction. Just remember with subtraction, we have to be careful with our distribution, right? When we have multiple pieces going on. But guys, I mean, the description says, okay, add matrices of the same order, which seems to indicate if they're not the same order, maybe you shouldn't add them. I wonder why. Oh, because you're supposed to have corresponding entries. Will you have corresponding entries if they're not the same order? Let's see what I mean. What would you naturally think of doing to add these two together? 0 plus 1 plus negative 2 plus. Hey, corresponding, right? Okay, so what's going to happen for the whole thing? Exactly what you thought. Any 0 matrix of the same size as the original is going to be the additive identity. Do you guys remember the other day I was talking about identities? Mathematically speaking, personal identities, super crucial topic in these days and times, but a much longer conversation, hopefully with a lot of Bible in there. But coming back, math identities. What would be the additive identity of any just normal number, like 5? What's its additive identity? 0. The only way to add to 5 and get 5 is by adding 0. Is that true for any number? So what's the additive identity for a matrix? A 0 matrix of the same size. Okay. What was the other type of identity that I brought up the other day besides the additive identity? The multiplying one. Multiplicative identity. The multiplicative identity. You already been saying it, right, Christina? What would you multiply any number by to get itself? 1. Okay, so for numbers, 0 is the additive identity, 1 is the multiplicative identity. Okay, so the 0 matrix is the additive identity. Are there any special matrices that might be the multiplicative one? We don't even know how to multiply matrices yet. We haven't even talked about it. We're still in addition. Are there any special matrices? You might think like ones, right? Ones. Sadly, no. But you have seen this matrix, and I did make a big deal about them. Any important special matrix that might be the multiplicative identity? You guys are making it harder than it had to be. Christina, say it louder. Don't we have something called the identity matrix? Oh, so if he's not this kind of identity, well, he must be the other one. Who is the identity matrix, remember? Ones and zeros. Wonder how that works. Well, we have to figure out multiplication before we can figure out how it works. And before we figure out multiplication, we have example number 2. Okay, let's add. 2 plus 0 is 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. It's impossible to add matrices that are not of the same order. This is a snazzy notation for an empty set, a set with nothing inside as far as the answer, which is the same thing as impossible, no solution, DNE. The addition cannot be done. I know you guys are like, we can just tack on. We did that for systems of equations to help the calculator understand what we were giving it. But we can't just tack on rows or columns of given matrices. Does that kind of make sense? Okay. So if they're not the same order, how are we supposed to add corresponding when? Okay, nope, don't do that. Ready, set, play with it. Go. Don't worry, it's legal. They're both 2 by 2s. Don't worry, it's legal. They're both 2 by 2s. Some of it you could do mental math, and that'd be totally fine. Oh, we haven't even talked about this guy, but I'm assuming you can figure it out. And if you can figure that guy out, well, maybe you can figure that guy out too. But for those of you that like to write out work, when you get to letter D, maybe you should write out 3A and write out 2B and actually subtract them. Trying to hold all that in your mind might get a little bit hard. But once you guys have it written down, go. What would you think A plus B would end up being? Yeah, keep going. But yes, good. Just keep going, but listen.
May I have your attention, please? This is a drill. This is only a drill.
Keep writing.
Beginning right now, please act as if a major earthquake were occurring. A major earthquake has started. The ground is shaking, the buildings are shaking, and you